19 to 34. You know, sometimes in life, you just get the sense that there's a little bit more going on in life than just what you see every day. You're doing your job, you're raising your family, and enjoying the various pleasures in life, good food, maybe a vacation here or there. But sometimes you just get the sense that there is something more going on in life. And every once in a while, something truly extraordinary happens that totally confirms what you've been feeling. Maybe you've had some astounding new revelation about life that just blows your mind, or you meet someone that opens up a whole new way of thinking and gives you a whole new insights into life, or our reality, our spirituality, and it's as though in that moment, or through that event, or through that person, God opens a window into a new reality, a totally new dimension of life. There's actually a word for this experience. It's called serendipity. Now I'm going to ask you guys to say that, okay? Help me out with this. Please say the word serendipity. Serendipity. See? I think you guys could do that. And it literally means the finger of God has, for a moment, directly entered into this world or into your life. Serendipity. And what is interesting about these experiences is that once you start looking for them, the more that you will see them. Now here's a serendipitous experience that happened to me recently. A few years ago, I read this book called Evidence of the Afterlife by these two PhD researchers. You know, you hear about people who've had these odd experiences of the afterlife when they briefly die on an operating table or when they're in dialysis. And these two researchers decided to collect the first-hand accounts of a bunch of those experiences. And then they analyzed those experiences for similarities and differences. Anyway, it was a really good book, and it really gave me a sense that there is this other, very peaceful and hopeful reality that sometimes pokes its head into an individual's life, and it completely changes the way that you experience reality from that moment on. The mystics talk about this all the time, happening in daily life. Anyway, I figured most people don't want to bother reading such a research-oriented book, so I just put it on the shelf. And then recently at a funeral, I was talking with this guy who was very interested in these kinds of things. So I loaned him the book, and he loved it. He bought copies for himself and a copy for his own pastor and a couple of friends. And he told me about his own experience of floating out of body while he was on the operating table. And after the operation, he told the doctor everything that the doctor had said during the operation, even though he himself was under anesthesia. And he was so excited about this book that I loaned him, Evidence of the Afterlife, had confirmed his own experience and his belief that there's a consciousness outside of just the brain's physical structures that we can see or measure in the brain. So anyway, for me, that conversation was a serendipitous experience. A conversation totally outside of my normal reality. And then meeting someone who'd actually had one of those out-of-body experiences. And then for this other guy, meeting me and being introduced to this surprising book was also a serendipitous experience for that person. Very cool. Very cool. And I believe that God sets up these kinds of experiences for you and me all the time. That's like you hear about the person that was in a car accident, and the car was completely crushed, and then they end up walking out of the accident, walking away from the accident. Or you pick up the phone to call somebody, and they're calling you. So, I mean, who could explain that, right? One time I was talking to the sexton of this church that I was at before, the person who takes care of the building and everything. And he said one day he was in the church, and he was, I don't know if he was fixing a window or painting a wall, and he said he heard this music outside, like church music, outside of the building. And so he gets down from the ladder and he goes outside, and there's nobody out there. There's no car. I mean, it's way out. It's way out. And there's no car. There's nobody out there. But he swears he heard music. Some people said they've heard that here, even sometimes when nobody's here. I'm just saying. Maybe maybe some of these serendipitous experiences are things like a special healing. Someone just last week told me that in our former healing service, their painful knee had stopped hurting. Another person felt like they were finally able to conceive after being anointed at a healing service. Others have had doctors find just the right medicine or take them off of a harmful medicine. Others have had surprising experiences that, helped free them from addiction. All of these, and I know you've had your own experiences as well, maybe. All of these experiences and many other personal experiences are serendipitous experiences where you feel that God has entered into your life in a special way. A lot of people have these experiences but don't tell anyone because, they're very personal. And, people tend to mock things that they don't believe. And yet, I believe that God gives you and me these experiences so that you might see God in your daily life, or see God in the lives of others around you. And in this way, begin to realize that there is a larger reality than just what we see in the everyday world. You are living in a wonderful mystery, a wondrous mystery, where miracles happen all the time. On the other hand, maybe you have not personally had one of these experiences or known someone that has had one. Maybe instead you got to experience the amazing, loving presence of God through a person. Maybe a relative or a neighbor, and you felt something very special in their presence or in their life. Something that inspired you. That's another way that God works to help you know of God's presence in your life or in the lives of others. And so we light candles today in memory of those special people who have touched your life. Maybe they have died, or maybe they just live in a distant place. But this is a moment where we remember them all. Today I've been talking about the experiences, all these kinds of experiences that you might have had, or people that you might have met, that have helped you to know the presence and the reality of God in the world and in your life. And in these ways, you become witnesses of God's presence in your life and witnesses of God's presence in the lives of others. you become God's witnesses in this day and this time. And so, like John the Baptist in our scripture reading for today, John the Baptist was pointing to the one who was coming, the one who was far greater than himself. John the Baptist was pointing to Jesus. And in the same way, when you tell of these serendipitous experiences, are these blessed people that you have known in your life, you become a voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, for he has come, and he is coming soon.